ESS manufacturers, I'll probably pause on this screen for a moment. Sigenergy is number one, and we have looked at this through a number of different lenses, through a number of different data partners, and though each data partner sees a different view on the market, they all tend to confirm Sigenergy is number one. We saw it in proposals and sales early, and Sigenergy called it off the back of that. Even before perhaps people were seeing large volumes of shipments that were occurring. They were about to occur. They have occurred, and we still see across our data sources that Sigenergy is the current number one. It is worth noting that rapid growth has plateaued, and I'll give Will a chance to talk to that in a moment, but it could be supply constraints. And while that plateau has occurred, you'll notice that there's been decline in Tesla's market share, noting that they believe it's higher than we state here, and we acknowledge that that's quite possibly the case. We do see that in most of our data sources that they have gone backwards from where they were, at least in terms of market share, which is understandable because there's a lot of growth in the incumbents. So you saw SAJ growing considerably here. You saw Goodwe going considerably. You saw ESY growing. They've fallen back a bit, but you're seeing Fox growing there. There's a lot of insurgent activity, and that's even before you look at the minor brands here in red, which are those companies with below 1% annual market share, and they've grown as well, stealing market share away from the incumbents that include Sungrow, include even Hainan there. And where's Alpha ESS in blue there? So it's a lot more competitive out there is the short message that I want to put out there. If you want to put a question in the chat, then please feel free to do so, by the way. Like everything, these outcomes do vary. They vary by state, for example, and if you look across, and the reasons for that can be distribution strategy, it can be product market fit. For example, you may need more three-phase in Western Australia, or the Western Australian market has a tendency to prefer cheaper brands, at least in solar that's the case, and for any other number of reasons, even local presence, it does vary by state. We still see Sungrow as number one in South Australia here, and WA brands, where are we? Number one's actually minor brands. So it's either one minor brand that's got dominant position there, or probably a combination of all. But if we eliminate those, then at least we're looking at Sigenergy number one there too. So well done, Will. I know you don't seem to sleep, and you don't seem to stay at home much, and just travel around the country and globally. That seems to be working out. But you can see there, beneath, apart from the number ones, there's quite considerable variation of each brand and where they sit in the order in each state. But market share is an outcome. It's not a lever you can pull. It would be nice to go and say, yes, just give me more market share, and there's that lever, but it doesn't exist. It's the result of hard work. Now, the key inputs to it are installer reach, what percentage of installers that you get to, installer depth, what percentage of each of your installers' portfolio that you represent, and then over time, how loyal each installer is to you, how much repeat business you're getting. That's when you start to get sustainable market share, and that's when you get the ability to have a sustainable profit as well. And so we're going to use that framework to see some of our market intel in that light, to help you understand how each brand gets to where it is. So I'm going to go through this quickly. Installer reach, Sigenergy, 27%. I'm going to use Sig as an example here because Will's in the audience, and you can tell me how right or wrong I am. But at least over the past 12 months, Sungrow still had more customers using its product, and Tesla also had an equivalent number of customers using its product. But the customers that did use the Sigenergy used it for a far greater portion of their portfolio over the 12 months than did for Tesla. And you can understand that approach of, okay, I stock a premium brand, it applies to panels, inverters, whatever, and I will put a proposal out for it, but mostly I will not sell it. So that's an example of where some of these companies may have a lot of customers, a lot of installers using their product, but not using it for a lot of their business. It can also be a product market fit there. Tesla just having the one size effectively. And so these are some of the levers, these inform the levers that can be pulled to improve market outcomes. We also track customer loyalty here. The blue bar is the portion of the brand's volume that is attributed to installers that buy each and every month. So these are the customers that are very, very sticky. And you can see here that Sungrow has a very, very loyal customer base. Hainan does too, so does Tesla. There's lots of installers out there that buy it each and every month, or at least lots of Tesla's business is represented by those installers that buy it each and every month. Sigenergy hasn't been around long enough, if you like, at such volumes to have established such high volumes of customer loyalty. But you can see here in the green, like a significant fraction of their business is coming from installers that are new to the brand in the last year, as well as customers that have tried it and then have had a moment to break and then come back to it, etc. And so expect those loyalty measures to come out soon. To settle out soon. But you look at some of these other brands, and yes, it's a very dynamic industry. There's some also that you already see having dropped considerable volume. So BYD, they're losing quite a bit of its volume to customers that no longer use it. Similarly for Sona. Installer reach has been certainly something we've seen SIG growing with. The percentage of installers using their brand has now reached up there with the top brands and has just eased back a bit in July, probably, as everyone flooded the market. And installer depth, the percentage of portfolio you represent, has also grown there as well. So both of those key metrics have been pulling in your favour and therefore multiplied together, given a great rise in market share. And we can see that was growing even while other companies were contracting their installer depth. Though now you are no longer the upstart, you're the incumbent, then you face reverse pressures there. And installer depth is great with the mammoth installers, and it's been improving quite considerably with large. But it's some of those smaller installers where you could focus on. In terms of loyalty, we showed you a 12-month chart before. You can see that there, a lot of growth from new customers, taking on new customers there, particularly in those last recent months. All right, let me hear panelists' thoughts on that one. And well, I've talked a lot about your business and put a bit under the microscope. Keen to hear your thoughts about just response to that in general. Tell me.
Yeah, look, I mean, your data definitely backs up what we're seeing on a kind of daily and weekly basis. So some of the reasons why we've been backing off, obviously down to strains on getting stock in. We've had other issues because we've got a modular system, we actually need to get each combination certified with the CC, which is a little bit painful. And with the introduction of the rebate, obviously the battery size has increased. We didn't necessarily have those sizes certified on the smaller inverters. So we actually got an email from the CC today. That's all certified as of today. Yep. So we should see that gives a bit more flexibility and more options to customers. So hopefully that'll obviously put us back in the running to start growing again. And then other things like, WA, we've had delays with, integrations with dynamic control, Synergy and VPPs, all that kind of stuff. So, and your data's been great. It kind of backs up what we're seeing and gives us a bit more of an analytical view. So it helps us to guide business decisions and where we need to focus on the business to make sure we can kind of pick back up again. So, I've got to say your data has been really helpful for us.
Great, thank you, Will. And Sam, you saw, you guys sell SIG, but you sell the other brands there. What did you notice there amongst the brand dynamics that were occurring in those charts?
Well, to your point, a massive shout out to Will and his team. They've done exceptionally well, with a pretty small runway to be very engaging with the market. Often see Will and his team, speaking on the online forums, giving people advice, giving people updates. To be blunt, mate, if I could give you any feedback for the other brands, it'd probably be do better, because there's not many that are doing it as well at the moment, and I'd probably include in that end customer marketing that Will and his team have done very well in Australia, and it's meant that they're going to continue to see success.
customer engagement being a key thing. I did notice actually, starting to see boxes of batteries at people's house that have been left behind after their installation. It's nice to start seeing that and seeing not only solar panels flying down the freeway on the back of a trailer, but also then the batteries are in there. It's certainly happening. I saw a Solax, is it SolarX? I never get it right. Advertisement on the back of the bus. These things are becoming mainstream, and it's good to see that they're in people's consciousness. Let's talk to some product developments there, because things aren't static. You heard Will and, for example, bringing out new products that meet local requirements. Let's start there with you, Will. What's coming up for you guys in terms of product development pipeline?
Yeah, so the big one for us is definitely C&I. So we're expecting the C&I range of product to get listed over the next probably 2 to 3 months. We'll be showcasing this and other new products at All Energy, but I think the attachment rate for commercial, we're expecting that to grow considerably over the next 12 months, particularly with the type of product we've got, which is a lot more modular, easy to install, takes up less space, all that kind of stuff. So recently hired Mark Colwell earlier this year, so he's been out there pushing it. So we're just waiting for the CC listing to drop. And then we've got micro inverters, we've got generation 2 hybrid inverters, which are a lot more cost effective. So we've got a lot of builders that are looking into that type of product. And then we've got bigger batteries as well, with bigger battery cells. So again, all this has been sent to the CC. We're just waiting for them to list it. I guess the other big thing is we haven't really touched on is vehicle to grid. So we do have a V2G DC charger, which integrates into the stack of batteries. We did get a bit of a breakthrough earlier this year where we got one of the DNSPs and the guys at OzEV that make the Ford import the F-150 Lightning and then convert it, got it all approved for vehicle to grid. Obviously, that opened up a lot of doors for us. So we've had a lot of conversations and done a lot of work in the background. We're actually very close to roll this out nationally. So that's really, really exciting. And, I'd be interested to see what data you might be able to capture on your platform in regards to that, Warwick.
I'd be interested to see as well. Also interested to see how it behaves when we plug my EV. And Will, any little parting observation or comment you want to make there, or invitation to a party or something like that?
Yeah, a couple of other updates. So FCAS, we didn't really touch on FCAS, so we've just integrated with Powwow, so we can now play in the very fast market, which is quite exciting. And then I just wanted to say, one of the things that we did touch on earlier is, I think it was you, Sam, talked about that there's an introduction of a lot more smaller installers coming into the market with the rebate. And it's really important, I guess, for end users just to go with a reputable installer, because these smaller ones that are coming in, there's a bit of a price war. They're putting next to nothing on the job. So you've got to think about quality of install, ongoing tech support, and it puts a massive strain on my team, from a tech support perspective. Like, we're continually hiring for tech support at the minute just because the demand is just ridiculous. The number of people calling us, you wouldn't believe it. And that's it, really. So just, thanks for getting us on, Warwick.
Thanks, Will.